Who says it's up to Steve Scalise or Jim Jordan to really weigh who will be the next Speaker of the House? It's not a done deal yet that they're a done deal or that there are others who could add to the mix. This next gentleman is one of them. Certainly, if you follow the Washington rumor mill, Congressman Kevin Hern of the beautiful state of Oklahoma, he might be considering a run himself. So maybe settle this for me now, if you can, sir. It's good to have you. Do you want to run for Speaker?
Well, certainly what I'm doing, Neil, is I've been entertaining calls from members in the last 45 hours since we had the motion to vacate. I've spent over 30 hours meeting with members, talking on the phone with members, listening to what they need to see in the next speaker so we can reunify and move the conference together and the country together. And so when I get through with those calls, I'll make that decision. But I want my decision based on what 221 Republicans have given input into.
All right. Well, the talk is that you've already made it. Mike McCall, the Republican colleague of yours from Texas, has said that you have told a delegation there that you indeed do intend to run.
Well, I certainly laid out my plan to the Texas delegation. It's the largest delegation in the country. And I guess he was so excited about what I had to say, maybe he was wanting me to run.
All right. Now, again, you mentioned the math here and getting all of those votes. And no matter who ultimately gets them, you'll still have a narrow caucus in your favor. So that makes it sometimes a suicidal mission, doesn't it? You look at what happened to Kevin McCarthy and say, could happen all over again. We have such a narrow majority here. It could happen again.
Well, Neil, I spent 35 years in business before I came here, running very large organizations, businesses that I created and grew to thousands of employees. I've only been in Congress 5 years, and there are a lot of people who say the status quo on how people become speaker has got to change if we're going to change the direction of this country. And so I'm willing to take on that task if, in fact, that we can get to 218 votes. And so that's what I'm working on. We have got to come out unified next Wednesday with a speaker so that we can hit the ground running. We've got so much to do for this country, and we have a short time to do it.
What did you think of how the whole McCarthy thing was handled?
Well, certainly it was a troubling time. It was a historic time, not one that at the end of the day we're going to be proud of. I don't think either side is proud of that. I mean, that's just my take on it. But we've got to move forward now. Looking backward, you get your experiences from what happened in the past, and you use those to create a brighter future. And that's what I intend to do if I take this leap, is to make sure that we reunify our party to get conservative ideas pushed so that we can push back on Joe Biden and the Democrats that have an open border, a terrible energy policy, and an inflation and an economic situation that is absolutely terrible for the American people.
Now, so you were not among the 8 in your party who voted against Kevin McCarthy. What do you think of those 8 who did?
Well, certainly you would have to ask them individually. I'm sure they had their own reasons. They expressed those.
I've actually talked to half of them, and they still stand by that. What do you think of them? Because some of your colleagues who didn't go that route, in fact, supported Kevin McCarthy, said that what they did was impulsive and childish and ruinous for the party. What do you say?
Well, what I say, Neil, is you can look at my record. I have never talked ill about any member of the Republican Party. I'm a true Ronald Reagan guy that started my first business under Ronald Reagan. I believe in the 11th commandment of the Republican Party, which is we don't speak ill will of each other. So I take those lessons of what we learned in that to move forward to make a better leader out of this. I know it's easy to make. I know what you're saying
about not speaking ill of others in your party, and that's admirable, sir, and you're true to your word. But the fact of the matter is that you're in the minority there, because a lot of Republicans speak ill of other Republicans, including the guy who urged Republicans to stop fighting with each other, Donald Trump himself.
Yeah, so, Neil, I appreciate that. But, again, that's just not how I've always operated to move my businesses forward. I learned early in my business career that making others look small so I can look tall is not the way I'm going to operate. I'm going to work hard to do the leadership role of listening to people and formulating a plan going forward. And when I put my hat in the ring, if that happens, it will be because I've listened to 221 Republicans, and I've formulated a plan that I think I can keep my promise to make that happen for the American people, because it is the American people who will suffer if we don't get this Republican Party back in charge and moving the country forward.
All right, so you'd have to win over some of those 8, and then maybe you can. And Jim Jordan has expressed interest in doing that, says he's has a good personal relationship with Matt Gaetz. I don't know if that's true and all. But in the middle of this, as you know, sir, you've got Donald Trump coming to Capitol Hill next week to meet with the GOP conference, maybe yourself. What do you think of that?
Well, I've been a long-time supporter of Donald Trump. He's endorsed me. I've endorsed him. I think, when you look at what he's done in his presidency, Oklahoma, my great state of Oklahoma, all 77 counties voted for him not once but twice, and will vote all 77 counties again for him. He is beloved in Oklahoma, and so I, too, love him because I'm a business guy.
Well, what about making him speaker?
Well, you'd have to ask him that. I know he's set that aside, but certainly we need somebody to reunify the party, and that's what we're working for right now as we get to next Wednesday.
Yourselves, sir, the reason why I belabor the point is that, he did quasi-entertain it. I'm wondering, even on a temporary basis, would you be open to that? Do you think that would be a good idea?
Well, certainly I would ask the president if he wants to do it. I've not talked to him personally about that. But here's what I will tell you, Neil. I think why he says he will do that, because he doesn't see it that tough. And why he doesn't see it that tough, because he will listen to the people, as he's always done, and put together an agenda that moves the ideas of the American people forward. And so if we keep this focus on the American people and not on us as individuals, a lot of things become much easier, and that's what he sees, what he did with this country. He sees the subset of the House of Representatives as something even much easier than what he did in the country.
So there's sniping at each other all the way up to Donald Trump and many of the other presidential candidates who give it back to him and to each other. You say that cease and desist on all.
Well, certainly, just getting our arms around what's going on is we have to stop fighting with one another and point our arrows out at the Democrat Party, because they're one reveling in the chaos right now, as they described it. I think it's the sausage making that's going on that we see in a democracy, and the American people get to see it in real time.
So tomorrow you'll probably be announcing that you're running for Speaker.
Well, as soon as I plow through these calls, I was on the phone right before I came here, and I'm getting ready to jump off and keep calling people.
All right. I just thought I'd get you on a weak moment there. Congressman, thank you very much. Very good seeing you.
Thanks.
All right. So it could be a crowded field. We shall see. In the meantime, getting the latest on this division, or at least sniping going on. By the way, Democrats have it as well. Republicans, too. But the Georgia governor, Brian Kemp, is very concerned about it and the message it's sending. He thinks it's a winnable election.